Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to kind of go over a topic that I actually was watching. Another content creator who goes by the name Alpha M had mentioned, he did a video just the other day, and he had mentioned about him not wanting to have kids, and I just thought it brought it up an interesting topic. And he gave his explanations for why it didn't suit him. And prior to watching the video, I thought he was going to say all these other kind of reasons. And he actually said some reasons that I thought were very valid. And so I get it. Some people might not want to have children. But I also want to give a different perspective on why it's kind of a thing that a lot of people who might choose not to might end up regretting, because there are a lot of aspects about it that a lot of people don't realize. So first I want to ask the question of, should everybody consider having children? You definitely should evaluate it and consider it. You should see if it's for you or not. Some people, I think that one of the big factors is the times that we're living in. And pretty much, I think we're in a space now where the idea of that seems less appealing, because the idea of staying younger longer in terms of doing these younger activities, especially if you're aiming to have like a lot of money, luxury things, vacation all the time, that the idea of a more settled life, having kids, feels restricting. And I think that that's a big reason why a lot of people, might feel like they don't want to have kids. The times are just different. They're way different. Where back in the days, people were aspiring almost to be parents and then grandparents. It was like you went through that whole path. And not to say that path wasn't necessarily for everybody, but I do think that there were a lot of rewards that come with it that a lot of people might not have the foresight to understand and advance unless they went in that journey. And I get it, once you have kids, you can't take it back. So it's not like a thing where you can do it and then say, you know what, it doesn't suit me, I don't want this anymore. Now, I know in the video with Alpha M, he had mentioned that he felt he was selfish, and then that, that was a reason not to want to have kids. And I agree with that in the sense that if you think you're going to do a bad job as a parent, then yes, you don't want to bring kids into the world. But I also think from that selfish perspective, if you know you're a good person, but even from that selfish perspective of, well, I want for me, your kids will be who take care of you in the future, because that stage of life can get very uncomfortable. It could feel very scary, in the sense like it's like drowning in water at the last minute and you're looking for help, but there's nobody there to help you. A lot of people don't think about that when you're still young and able-bodied. There's a lot of people who don't think about that from 40, 50, sometimes even they get to 60 before it hits them. But when you start getting to the point where you're debilitated by your age and anything else that's coming along with it, is the point in time where you're gonna want help. And it's not the same from a caretaker that it is from your family, who will casually come by, maybe bring you food, do food shopping, maybe take you on a drive someplace. Because for them, it's as though some people think of it as work, or it might seem like a burden. Somebody who has known you all your life is less likely to have an issue to say, hey, get in the car, we're gonna go for a little drive. Maybe we're gonna go, I don't know, to the zoo. Maybe we're gonna go to the museum or something like that. And they don't have a problem having you come along, because they don't mind your company at all. They enjoy maybe being able to talk to you, or whatever the case is, as opposed to maybe someone you hired who's like, I don't like your company because I don't know you like that. You pay me, so I'm here. It's a different vibe, including just when family comes over and you're sitting in your old guy's chair, your old grandma's chair, and the kids are running around, the grandkids are running around, and you are just enjoying that is your legacy in front of you, standing right in front of you. It's a different vibe than you paid somebody to come over there and take care of you, maybe cook you some food, but they don't want to be there. They may fake become your friend, or maybe they become your friend a little bit over time, but it's still not the same as family coming over who don't mind being in your space just for the sake of being in your space while you get to watch them run around. So even from a selfish standpoint, and I mean selfish standpoint, but if you are a good person, not selfish standpoint and you're an evil person, but if you're a good person, even from a selfish standpoint, this goes into the category which I call emotional retirement. And I've mentioned this in the channel before. You don't want to have money just to retire financially. You need to be able to retire emotionally, which means that things are in place that you are satisfied in the areas that money can't buy, which is somebody taking care of you, which is feeling at peace when you're at an age where there's nothing you can want anymore by payment. There's nothing you can buy that makes you happy anymore. Because once you get about 85 years old, fancy car, fancy motorcycle, fancy jewelry, fancy anything, new handbag, that's not gonna mean anything to you. It won't. And that's almost a guaranteed fact based on, if you ask anybody who's old now, they almost all say the same things. You might have less than 1% who might say otherwise, but even then, they're not even at the age to even really do much with that. So yes, most of them will say, I just enjoy family and knowing that someone's thinking about me or cares about me or looks at my legacy like, I'm happy that you did this for me. So that's emotional retirement. And we got to kind of really break down the fact that what's the point of having a lot of money if you're not going to have someone to pass it down to? Now, like I said, in Alpha M's video, he actually explained this pretty well. He mentioned about giving it away to charities, which is a great answer. But there's a lot of people who, may not be comfortable with that because they don't know where their money's going necessarily. Maybe they think that the middleman in between might spend it or whatever the case is. Having a legacy to give your money to gives reason for why you work so hard. It gives purpose for all that. It's part of the reason why you work so hard. It's part of that motivation that gives you that drive for a lot of people. And if you don't need that to be your drive, more power to you. But I definitely think that it gives a lot more reason for why you try to have more if you have legacy to pass it down to, even your wisdom. So I definitely think that it's something, it's something to consider when you're trying to build more for your life and have more. But as I reiterated earlier in the video, I really think a lot of this comes from the times we're living in, where a lot of people just feel like, in this age of social media, in this age of being flashy, and I'm not saying this part doesn't connect with what anything Alpha M was saying on his video, but we're living in this era now where a lot of people, it's about, social media, being flashy, 30's the new 20, 40's the new 30, trying to stay younger, trying to do all these kind of things. But the truth is, time doesn't work that way, even though we like to think it does. But 40 is still 40, it's not 30. If you don't have kids at the time, it's not easier later if you decide later. It's not a thing where you could put off the future because you want to play like you're younger. And that's kind of the times that we're living in now, where, like I said, with social media, with trends, with this kind of new age of like trying to keep up with the Joneses, where it's like, oh, we're making money, even sometimes when you're not, but it's just for the image of it. So you're like, I don't want to have this kind of family life, family structure life, because I can't do that and maintain this image of a life at the same time. So I have to choose one or the other, and how the family life is losing out to the idea of wanting to play. That in itself is, I think, a large contributor to why people are saying they don't want kids, because they feel they have to give up that life. And what's crazy about it is also the fact that two things, actually. One, by the time some people realize that they want to have that kind of life, it's too late. There's a definitive time frame in which you can have that, and if you miss that window, then it really ends up becoming a thing where honestly, you can't go back. So this new climate of the way that people are seeing the world, like I said, with social media and this and that, trying to stay young for longer, it's giving you this false sense that you have a larger window than you have, and when you hit that point, you sometimes regret it. But two, a lot of people don't realize that when you have kids, you can actually do all the same things you wanted to do. And that's the part that I think a lot of people get into a space where they're like, oh, I can't do those things. You could still go on vacation if you have kids. Go on vacation with the kids. You want to go to a tropical beach? Take your kids on the beach. They'll love going to the beach. You're the type who likes to go camping. Take your kids camping. They're going to love going camping. Anything you could do, save for the fact that, you can't go as a man or a woman. You can't go to some random tropical vacation place, go to the nightlife bar and hook up with someone. You can't bring your kids to stand alone with you while you do that. And I think deep down, that's the part that people are worried about not having in their life. But if you have a steady partner, that shouldn't even be something in your mind. So if you have a steady partner and you say to yourself, well, I don't want kids, there's really no reason why you can't have kids, and still just have them do everything that you're already doing. Yeah, there'll be a point in time where you have to, use some of your time in terms of when they're really young and they're too young to really understand what's going on, even though those are the most precious years. And you probably will love those years the most. But as they get older and they become a lot more dependent, and they don't really need you for little things, you'll realize you can still go on vacation and just take them. If you're worried about the money, well, if you're striving to make all this money anyway, solo, and you would have been spending it on vacation anyway, it's not that much. I don't want to say it's not that much extra to take extra to kids, but the point is it's worth it. So, that's a thing, I think, a myth that people get in their mind, or a roadblock they get into their mind, as far as like, I don't want to have them because it's going to stop me from living the life that I want to keep living. And unless that life is simply hooking up in clubs, kids will not stop you from living the life you wanted to live for yourself in any way. They really wouldn't on the grand scheme of things. So, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought the topic was interesting, that when he brought it up, that a lot of people started commenting and saying different things, and not necessarily negative or positive, but more of like, hey, I wanted to have kids, or some people is like, I didn't want to have kids, or whatever the case is. So it just became a talking point, and I kind of wanted to hit that. So put that in your comments down below. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel? Have you ever been in that situation and regretted it? Have you ever thought you weren't going to want to have kids, you had kids, and now you're like, I love that I had kids? Post your comments down below. Let's start a discussion. As always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.